Next up here, I'm really pleased to introduce us to a guy who really needs no introduction in the natural products industry, Dr. Michael Murray. He wrote the book, what I call the Bible, the Encyclopedia of Natural Healing, along with Joe Pizzorno at Bastyr University. And Dr. Murray here is going to give us a little education on the endocannabinoid system, because really when you're talking about the health of CBD, that's like the real foundation of health and really what's going on physiologically, biochemically. So, Dr. Mike Murray, thanks.
Appreciate it. Let's give Todd an extra round of applause. This is really a great symposium, and a lot of hard work went into it. And he's not the only one. This is a great forum offered by New Hope here today. When they asked me to talk, I said, "Are you really sure you would like me to speak?" And they said, "Yes, we'd like you to explain the endocannabinoid system." And I'm going to try and do that in 20 minutes and impart some of my philosophy along the way. First of all, I love this industry. I love the natural product industry. I love what we're doing. I love what we're all about. And I believe that our time will come. I believe that the future of medicine is food. I believe that what we have in our hands and in our stores are real answers that people are looking for. I believe that the greatest technology in the universe is nothing that man has created. I mean, I love my phone, it's great. I got my whole presentation here, everything on my computer here. But the greatest technology in the universe is nothing that man has created. It's nature. And the way we commune with nature every day is through the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food that we eat. And I believe, as I said, that the future of medicine is food, and certainly hemp will be a part of that. I want to explain that the endocannabinoid system, the system in which these compounds that we're talking about, like CBD and other phytocannabinoids work, is a system that predates the cannabis plant. It is not all about cannabis. In fact, I believe that as we evolve in our understanding of the endocannabinoid system, we will utilize nutrition, lifestyle, and other ways very effectively to influence this endocannabinoid system in a way to propel us to greater health. I guess I ran into the same problem here. My slides may not be displayed properly, but we can really define this endocannabinoid system as a vital system within the body. It's as important as our cardiovascular system, our immune system, our detoxification system, our endocrine system. It is a key body component. And if we had to define what its primary role is to create and help maintain homeostasis. And homeostasis is what helps us live. It's the desire to create a constant internal environment. And whether you're a one-cell organism or a very complex organism like we are, homeostasis is critical to the function of each and every cell. And so we can look at this endocannabinoid system as really a way to set the stage for more powerful and more effective medicines. We've kind of been distorted in our impression of the endocannabinoid system because of the influence of THC. THC activates the CB1 receptor in a very strong way. But we have subtle influences on those sorts of receptors through our thoughts, through the food that we eat, and through various dietary supplements. We know that this endocannabinoid system mediates so many important health aspects. It plays a role in immune function, brain function, in inflammation, all these things where we're seeing possible application for hemp-derived compounds. The focus has been on CBD and THC, but there are compounds outside of the cannabis plant that also influence these receptors. And there's actually compounds that our body makes that also influence this endocannabinoid system. And as I said earlier, I believe that as we evolve in our understanding, we'll know better how to influence these factors. I remember when I first started studying medicine, this will kind of give away my age, but the prostaglandin system was discovered, and that was a big focus. And then as we started learning about it, instead of looking at drugs to influence the prostaglandin system, we started looking at nutritional interventions. And lo and behold, those are much more rational and a much more natural approach. So the endocannabinoid system involves two primary receptors, CB1 and CB2. The CB1 receptors, these are found mainly in the brain. The CB2 are found throughout the body in our immune systems and cells and all the other body cells. These receptor sites really are the key component of the endocannabinoid system, but they're not the only components. We have various fatty acid-derived compounds similar to prostaglandins that are also part of this system. The endocannabinoid system is supported by diet, lifestyle, and environmental factors. We know that we can influence how our body functions, how we can improve homeostasis well beyond using any supplement or drug. The endocannabinoid deficiency syndrome, this is a term that was offered to explain what they imagine might account for some of the symptoms that we typically see that might reflect low levels of activity of this endocannabinoid system. Chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, migraines, irritable bowel syndrome, seizure disorders being chief among those. When you're lacking that support of the endocannabinoid system, each cell throughout your body is unable to maintain its homeostatic control. And when you're unable to keep the proper internal balance, you're in a state of disease. So it's an underlying core factor, it appears, in just about every health condition you can imagine, because lack of homeostasis is a key underlying key factor in virtually every disease. So how does your endocannabinoid system work? Well, there are various factors that act like a key to a lock, and we can term these compounds activators. And this includes not only compounds from hemp, but compounds from many other plants and foods. And as I mentioned, there's a close relationship between various fatty acids in our body and the endocannabinoid system. And these compounds, these endocannabinoids that are produced in the body, are largely fatty acid derived. The cannabinoids, these are compounds that mimic the CBDs and other cannabinoids found in cannabis. So these receptor sites are found throughout the body. Concentrated the CB1s in the brain, but you can see CB1 receptors throughout other body sites. And then, as I mentioned, CB2, really these are found in immune cells and other body cells. The supporters, healthy fats, especially the omega-3 fatty acids, a whole foods plant-based diet, reducing stress. Stress is one of the real disruptors of our endocannabinoid system. So all the things that you think of that would support stress management or stress response to support your adrenal glands also support your endocannabinoid system. We know that once activated, this endocannabinoid system works very closely with our nervous system, and this causes improved communication not only between the cells in the brain, but throughout the cells of our body. This is something that is really quite interesting. You know, the Nobel Prize a couple years ago was given to a group of physicians that discovered that in our bones we have an internal GPS system. So it shows that we have some sort of awareness of, many of us have this, some of us don't, where we are and whether we're facing north or west or east, and I hope I got those right. But So what I'm getting at is that there's an innate intelligence throughout our body, and this endocannabinoid system appears to be a key part of that. We have a sense in our industry even that we look at pharmaceutical science and we think it's at the top. We're just scratching the surface. What's to come is going to be quite amazing, and I believe that, again, it's going to support the use of these natural approaches. So the key point I want you to remember about the endocannabinoid system is that it's all about promoting balance and homeostasis, and that's going to benefit every cell in your body, and that's going to help improve your health in the result. So proper nutrition is absolutely key to the endocannabinoid system. We know that we can influence that endocannabinoid system by just really good health practices, making sure that you're giving your body what it needs, that you're protecting yourself against stress, and that you're providing optimal support through the proper use of dietary supplements. Now, what about CBD? And this is the nervous part of the presentation for me, because I don't want to tell you that the emperor has no clothes, but I do want to tell you that there's more hype right now than there is real solid science. And I know that I'm speaking to a group of tulip farmers. We've gotten all excited about what we've seen with the hope and promise of CBD, but there's certain realities that you have to take in mind. First of all, is CBD really derived from hemp stalks? I don't think so. So I think all these compounds and products that are being sold saying derived from hemp stalk, that's a lie that's being told simply for regulatory purposes. The reality is there's very little CBD in hemp stalks. And all of these CBD-based products are utilizing leaf, flowers, and other to boost their CBD levels. So it's an industry that's really based upon kind of shaky ground. Number two, what do we know about CBD in the medical literature? Is it really effective? How effective is it in epilepsy? Well, it's a little more effective in epilepsy, particularly some intractable forms, than the placebo. But in these severe forms, these rare forms that don't respond to conventional therapy, even a little bit is better than nothing. And so it is going to be approved as the treatment of some of these rare forms of epilepsy. And that's going to lead to off-label use. But there's some cautions there. We can see that CBD, in order to really be effective, it looks like it has to have an entourage effect. And how many people have heard of this term, entourage effect? Okay, yeah. I figured I was speaking to educated people, but this entourage effect is real. And it's not just cannabinoids. There are other compounds in hemp that are critical to the action, overall action of these phytocannabinoids. So the entourage effect, I think, is really real. And so I think when you isolate and purify the CBD to an extent where you're losing some of that entourage effect, you're losing some of the benefits of CBD. Next, dosage. What kind of dosage has been used in these studies with epilepsy? Well, pretty high doses. People sometimes get confused because it'll say 5 to 10 milligrams. That's 5 to 10 milligrams per kilogram body weight. What about insomnia? Is there any data in insomnia? Yeah, it's been used in insomnia, and it's been shown to be a little bit better than placebo, but the benefit was shown to be dose-related. And so you're looking at dosages, probably 160 milligrams in order to start seeing an effect. So many of the products that are being sold out there, 5, 10, 15, 25 milligrams, they're going to be taking multiple doses to see a benefit, clinical benefit in insomnia. I'm talking about CBD only. If there's a little bit of THC in there, of course, you're going to start seeing some better results. What about anxiety? There have been studies with anxiety, and they have shown an effect, but the dose was 400 to 600 milligrams. Really high doses, not these little doses that we're seeing right now. I think that we need to improve the science. Yeah, we saw, Sean gave a great example of the success of this industry. Millions, millions, millions of dollars. How much is being spent on actual clinical research on these products that are being used? That's a good question. That's a question that I'd like to know the answer of. And what is that research showing? Because we're not seeing it in the medical literature yet. And what about pain? Are there any studies on CBD in pain? No, they're not. And yet that's one of the primary applications and uses that people are buying CBD from. So we have a lot of questions about CBD. Is there a different effect in delivery methods? What is the pharmacokinetics? What is the body's ability to absorb, utilize, and eliminate CBD? We know that oral absorption may be as low as 6%, has a rapid metabolism, rapidly metabolized, quickly converted to maybe inactive forms. Who knows? We just don't have all the answers yet. Is there different effects giving the CBD via different mechanisms? Oral, smoked, topical. Again, we don't have these answers. There's a lot of questions that have to be answered, and hopefully we'll get those. So Sean also pointed out a label that was from Emerald Healthbio. This is a company that I'm on the scientific advisory board. And we chose a different approach in developing a product to address the endocannabinoid system. We decided to choose safe, legal, and effective ingredients derived from non-cannabis sources. Myself, Dr. Gaetano Morello, and Dr. Giovanni Appendino, one of the world's leading experts on phytocannabinoids, we constructed this formula utilizing these non-cannabis source endocannabinoid system activators. No CBD, no THC. We chose this approach. These are some of the plants that we chose to include in there: peony root, clove, flower, oil, echinacea. The acrylamide and echinacea have very profound influence on the endocannabinoid system, both CB1 and CB2 receptors. Many of these compounds, they're found in ginger and magnolia and Szechuan pepper. That's easier to say than xanthoxylum. All have both CB1 and CB2 receptors, so you get a more comprehensive effect. Now, here's what is the crux of the matter that I believe is what we're going to learn about the endocannabinoid system. I think that, and a good analogy is that I think the endocannabinoid system is to our body what an offensive line is to a football team. An offensive line can set the stage for scoring a touchdown, but they're not touching the ball and they're not really they're not scoring the touchdown. They're critical to the success of that offensive team. What we're learning, I think, about how the way this endocannabinoid system works is that it just kind of sets the stage for hero ingredients to come in and really produce the end result. So we chose different applications, and we chose a hero ingredient with strong, clinically proven science behind it. So in each of these formulas, we chose to use a hero ingredient that undoubtedly has a role within that endocannabinoid system, but I think more or less, it's just acting to take that football and actually score the touchdown, actually producing the benefit that people are looking for, whether it's sleep, anxiety, depression, inflammation, and pain. I think that these hero ingredients will produce better results than CBD. So that's our approach. We have this mixture that we developed, and we are conducting both in vitro and clinical studies with this phytocan complex that we developed a non-CBD, CBD alternative. This is our four-prong approach. We want to support the endocannabinoid system with activators. We want to feed it with raw materials to support the production of our own internal supply of activators. We want to support the creation of more cannabinoid receptor sites in the body, and we want to protect and preserve the endocannabinoid system from breaking down. I put all of this into a little booklet that we have available. And I hope I can answer your questions. In my reference to tulip farms, that's related to the tulip industry. I don't think that this is a tulip industry, but I think that what we need to do is a house is only as strong as its foundation. And a product like CBD, a product like hemp, requires a strong foundation. In our industry, that foundation is science. What does the science really say? I think the science will come, it should, and I think it will better define how we can get the best results with these products.
Question about the research you cited on dosing versus the entourage effect. Is the research cited on milligrams per kilogram primarily around isolate as opposed to some of the full spectrum products that some of the more popular companies are selling?
Right. The research is mixed, but really the research is very limited. You can go to PubMed, Medline, National Library of Medicine, do your own search, CBD, clinical studies, and you'll see what the research shows. But there are some studies where they used more full spectrum extracts. For example, there was a study in Israel in epilepsy where they used a dose of 10 milligrams per kilogram body weight. It was primarily a CBD extract, so that gives you an idea that it's on par with what you see that is being used with the isolate. I do believe that research will show that because they're not, even we call them crude preparations, they're a mix of pharmacologically active compounds that assist the action of the CBD. So I think they should see better results with well-defined, standardized extracts that contain not only a proper amount of CBD, but also these entourage compounds. And many of these entourage compounds are not cannabinoids.
Yeah, I was going to ask the question about the United States government and their role. From what my understanding was in the 80s, they did do clinical studies on patients, some of them being the military and that. Do you know anything about that?
Well, when we talk about hemp research or marijuana research, I mean, there's a difference between marijuana research and benefits of marijuana versus what we're talking about primarily here, which is CBD. And THC may be an important component of that entourage effect.
There was a CBD study that's what led to the government filing a patent.
Yeah, I'm not aware of I don't know if that study was ever published by the government. Any other questions? Yeah, I see hands up.
I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
I happen to agree with you 100% with your assessment that you need a hero ingredient, because I have been testing out many different CBDs with a low percentage of THC in it and a non-THC product. And from what I understand now from about testing of close to a year, you absolutely need a hero ingredient because it enhances the effect of the CBD oil. I don't know that for sure. I actually think the ingredients that you add to it are a little bit more powerful and might be helping it out. So my question is what is the best way to digest this product? Is it sublingual? Is it a combination of like nanotechnology, which happens to be out there right now that a lot of people are pushing because of the molecule of how it's broken down? And should it be done sublingual? Because I happen to be in the veterinary industry as well, and I'm thinking about doing more of a spray.
Yeah.
something that breaks it up so it's digested better. So what is your thoughts on that?
Well, I'm not sure that sublingual makes all that much difference. Maybe a spray that may change the pharmacokinetics, but because you get more oral mucosal absorption. But there's a very high rate of first-pass metabolism, which means that once the body has that CBD within it, it's quickly metabolized into other compounds. Honestly, I think there's some. I would say probably vaping or some sort of inhaler type delivery system is going to give you the most pronounced sustained blood level.
What do you think of nanotechnology? Have you done any research on that?
Yeah,
or
well,
really dive into that?
It's not really nanotechnology. Typically in our industry, what we're talking about is just reducing particle size, and that's just basically through a grinding process. So it's not really nanotechnology where we're manipulating or changing the chemical nature of the molecule. So yeah, I think emulsions, nanonization, any way that you can increase the overall absorption is good, but you still have the problem of first-pass metabolism. So I'm not sure getting more in is going to produce the benefits that people are really looking for. Oh, wait a second. We got the. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, Dr. Murray, is it classified as a homeopathic? And if so, because I noticed you have some Italian researchers, because doctors over there can write prescriptions for homeopathic drugs.
Yeah, it's not a homeopathic preparation. These are standardized extracts that we developed. And Dr. Appendino, as I said, he's a world-renowned pharmacologist and a professor and one of the leading experts in phytocannabinoids in the world. I often get asked, legal questions about CBD, and right now it's pretty clear. Sean made that clear as well. We think that this endocannabinoid system is a system that's very sensitive to nutrition and can be benefited greatly through supporting it through non-cannabinoid compounds, and we know that some of the individual components that we have in the phytocan complex, how it compares to CBD, and we chose the best ones, and now we're testing that whole mixture and seeing the synergistic effects that it might have on the whole endocannabinoid system.
Mediterranean diet?
Mediterranean diet is fantastic for a lot of things, but all the things, anything that you can think of that's beneficial for your health impacts that endocannabinoid system. Anything, because it really is as important to our system as any other system in our body. It's just like your cars. What's the most important part of your car? Well, it's usually the one that's broken, the piece that's broken, right? And so if your car has something wrong with it, it may not function properly. It may not be able to drive. And the same thing with our body. If there's a breakdown in one of the systems, then the whole body is going to be affected. This is a critical part of our system, and it requires nurturing and care, just like our heart does, our brain does, and our liver and everything else. So anything that helps our general health is going to impact that endocannabinoid system.
Last question.
Real quick, so the delivery of your product is orally?
Yeah, it's a soft gel, and the great thing about the components that we chose, these non-cannabis sources, these compounds, I encourage you, when you get this product, take a bite out of it. It's in a soft gel, but I encourage people. We were going to put it in maybe sublingual, but it's too strong. It's really quite interesting. And these compounds that are in there we know that they are absorbed and they do produce benefits. I mean, do you know there's over 100 double-blind, placebo-controlled studies showing ginger to be effective in the treatment of pain? Did you know that? Yeah. How many studies are there with CBD? CBD alone? 0. Use things that have some good, solid science behind them, too. That's all I'm saying. God bless. Thank you.